Alright, let's talk about the Clone Wars movie. So the Clone Wars movie was not meant to be a movie. George Lucas came in, saw some of the first episodes that Dave Filoni and his team were making. They're like, hey, and George was like, I really would like you guys to make this movie. So they kind of took a few episodes of the TV show, stitched them together, released it in theaters. And I remember I actually saw this movie on the big screen. I do not have memories of what this movie was about back then. I just know I guess liked it because I remember I asked for Christmas for the Clone Wars movie, and then I got a DVD with the first few episodes of the Clone Wars series. I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, well, this is the series, not the movie. I asked for a movie, and so I never really watched that DVD. I think we still have that DVD laying around somewhere. Of course, I love the series more now than I do the movie because the movie's boring. It's really boring. I don't know what my 8-year-old, 6-year-old brain was thinking. How old was I? I think, the movie came out, I think, in 2007 or 8. Let's do the math here. I was born in 2003, so 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it was about 5 or 6 when this movie came out. And I apparently liked it. I don't know what my 5 or 6-year-old brain was thinking. But this movie is quite boring because, well, it's basically a plot about how Jabba's son, Jabba the Hutt, his son is kidnapped. And so now the Jedi have to go find him so that way they can negotiate trade routes and things like that, or whatever they need to negotiate, and get him back to Jabba. So yeah, the stakes are pretty low, and this would be fine if it was a TV show episode, but like when you go to the big screen to watch this crap, it's like, gosh, and it's boring because the stakes are kind of low. It's kind of weird that we're having an episode, a movie about how Jabba's son went missing when you never see him in the other Star Wars movies. It doesn't matter, but like it's just weird that he even has a son. Like, who asked for more characterization of Jabba the Hutt, for crying out loud? Who asked for this? Nobody did. This is a useless storyline. It's just boring. And the action is very lifeless because a lot of these characters, they're well developed and fleshed out characters in the series, but in the movie, they're not. So you're like, okay, I know Attic and Obi-Wan, they're in the movies, and Yoda and some of these other characters, but I'm like, but I don't know these versions of the characters, kind of, because they're a little bit different. And then there's like Ahsoka, which you're kind of introduced to for the first time, which is like, okay, you're just kind of this random kid who just kind of shows up and just does stuff. It's kind of weird, and it bothers me a little bit. So, but then, so I don't like it. The animation style was not made for theaters, and also the animation style is just at its worst, I think, in the whole series. The first few seasons weren't very good, and they got better the more and more the show went on, and it got really good. And I think season 7 is probably going to be the best animated season out of them all, judging by that factor to it all. But we'll see. But yeah, this is not something I like to revisit. And I know the series, when they released the series, it took a long time for those Blu-rays of the seasons to go out of print. But then when the movie came out, it immediately went out of print like a couple years after the movie came out. Yeah, nobody liked this movie. Every review of this movie is bad, pretty much. It's a boring, stupid movie, and there's no reason to watch it. It doesn't tie into the Clone Wars series that much. I mean, all it does is introduce Ahsoka, which is like, whatever. But I think this is the first thing, I believe, directed by Dave Filoni. If it's not, it's probably the first Star Wars thing that he directed, so. But yeah, I never want to revisit this movie, honestly. I don't revisit this movie very often. It's boring, it's not fun to watch, and it's not all that entertaining, so. And I just don't like this one. Let me know what you guys think of this episode. If you guys, movie, but it's not really a movie. It's just a bunch of episodes stitched together, and that's exactly what it feels like, and it's got very low stakes, and it's quite boring. So yeah, if I had to give this a grade, I'm gonna give this an F. And if I had to give Knives Out a grade, because I didn't do that, I would give that movie, I'd give that B or C plus. It's kind of hard to debate, because after watching the movie, I've been thinking about it more. It's kind of hard to figure that out. I need to remember to give movies a grade at the end of my reviews. I've been forgetting to do that.